I hear you say your life is nothing but a string of mistakes. I hear you whisper that there is no real future left for you. Your shoulders sink over the desk where old notebooks, half-finished plans, and rejected applications lie in a quiet pile. A pale glow from the screen rests on your face, while the rest of the room sits in soft shadow, and your chest feels heavy, as if every breath carries the weight of all the turns you regret. I am here with you in this small room where you sit, eyes tired, fingers resting on a keyboard that you no longer want to touch. I stand beside you in the dim light, close enough to see the fine tremor in your hands and the tightness around your eyes. And my presence fills the space you have been calling empty. You think, I should have chosen better, earlier, wiser. And each scene of your past flickers like a row of dim screens in your mind. You remember jobs you started and left, courses you began and abandoned, people you hoped to make proud and now feel you have disappointed. I see every one of those moments more clearly than you do, and I do not step away from you. You tell yourself that other people moved in one straight line while you wandered in circles. I see you on late bus rides, alone with your thoughts, staring out at passing lights and asking if you missed the only chance that mattered. I was with you on those rides, watching the way your hand pressed against the window and how you tried to hide your tears behind the dark glass. My child, your story is not a broken line of useless turns to me. Your steps, even the ones you now call wrong, have not pushed you outside of my reach. I stand here in the same room where you condemn yourself, and I do not echo that verdict. You look at your age, at the calendar, at the faces of people who seem to be further ahead, and you feel a tight knot of panic just beneath your ribs. It feels as if time itself is against you, as if the clock on the wall is quietly accusing you with every small movement of its hands. I see that knot. I see the way your jaw clenches when you scroll through other lives on your phone. The way you put the device down and then pick it up again, chasing proof that you have fallen behind. I also see the quiet strength it takes for you to get up each morning and move through the day even when you believe there is no point. Listen to me. You are not a wasted story. You are not a failed experiment that I regret. The room you sit in is small, but the story I am writing with you is not small. The desk may be cluttered with evidence of changes and endings, but beneath those papers I see skills learned, courage shown, and faith stretched in ways you did not recognize at the time. You remember the day you resigned from one path and walked home with shaking legs, feeling as if the ground under your feet might give way. I remember how the wind brushed your face on that walk, how you lifted your eyes to the sky for a brief second and asked me if I was still there. I answered you then by holding you steady, step by step, even when you did not feel any voice at all. You say your life has no meaning because you do not see one clear, impressive line from beginning to now. I say to you that I have never measured you by the smoothness of your path. I have always held you by the truth of your heart as you walked it. Feel your breathing now, how it is a little shallow and quick. Notice the way your hands rest on the cool surface of the desk, how your feet touch the floor. In this ordinary posture, in this quiet corner of your day, I am closer to you than the worries racing through your mind. You fear that you have disappointed me with every turn, that I intended a neat and shining plan and you ruined it with your choices. I tell you gently that I knew every turn you would take and I chose you knowing all of them. You have not surprised me. You have not broken my plan beyond repair. You look backward and you see only fragments. I look at your life and I see a whole journey that is still unfolding. Where you see broken chapters, I see training grounds where compassion grew in you. where endurance quietly took root, where you learned how it feels to be weak and to keep walking anyway. You say, "There is no future for me now. I have failed too many times." I say, "You are still held in my hands, and your future remains open inside my care." The meaning of your life is not cancelled by the confusion of these past years. Meaning is not a prize you failed to win. It is a gift I keep placing into your days as you take the next honest step with me. Notice the small details around you now, the cup beside you, the quiet hum of an appliance in the background, the faint sound of traffic or voices beyond your walls. All of this is part of the world I still entrust to you today. You are not locked outside of purpose while you sit here. Even in this moment of doubt, you are inside the story I am telling with you. You are afraid because you do not see a clear map ahead. I know that uncertainty makes your stomach tighten and your thoughts spin late at night when the room is dark and only the screen lights your face. I do not blame you for that fear. I draw nearer to you in it. Let me hold the map that you cannot see. Let what I ask of you for now be simpler than you have imagined. It is not your task to redesign your entire life in one brilliant decision. Your task is to breathe, to stay with me in this room, to take the next small, faithful step when it becomes clear, and to trust that I am not wasting the years you have walked. You feel that your shifts in direction prove that you are unstable. I see the courage it takes to admit when something is not right and to start again. You see scattered efforts. I see seeds that have fallen into different parts of the soil of your life, some hidden, some just starting to break the surface. I am not counting how many times you fell. I am watching how I can stand you up again and how each rising will soften your heart toward others who feel lost. I am not writing your story as a cautionary tale of failure. I am shaping it into a testimony of being carried when you thought you had ruined everything. My beloved child, you are not late to me. Time in your hands feels narrow and closing. Time in my hands is wide enough for everything I intend to grow in you. I remain with you in this very hour, in this small and ordinary space. And I will stay here as your heart slowly learns that your life is not defined by one perfect choice, but by my steady love toward you. Feel the chair beneath you, firm and plain. Feel my unseen hand as another kind of support beneath your tired heart. You are not dangling over a void. You are resting, even now, in the arms of one who has not given up on you. Your thoughts still try to pull you back toward the old conclusion that none of this can last. A part of you waits for the comfort to fade and for the familiar sentence to return. The sentence that says your life adds up only to wrong turns and closed doors. I know how many times you have tried to speak hope to yourself and then felt foolish a few hours later. I know the small pile of notebooks near your desk, the ones filled with careful plans that carried you for a short season and then stopped. I remember the morning you woke early, set your drink beside you, opened a clean page, and felt a small, bright fire in your chest, only to watch that fire sink under doubt and exhaustion by night. Hear me. I was with you on those mornings when you tried again. I saw the way you arranged your space, the way you sat at this desk or at a small table, trying to believe that this attempt might finally work. I did not stand back with folded arms, waiting for you to fail. You think that every abandoned path proves that you are weak. I see in each one the courage it took to step out in the first place, the courage it took to admit when something was breaking you, and the courage it takes now to stay in your body and keep breathing when shame tells you to disappear. Let your attention come for a moment to your hands, where they are. Notice the faint marks from work you have done, the way your fingers remember tasks from different seasons. Your hands have held tools, keyboards, books, devices, bags, and countless everyday objects across all those changes. Through every shift, they have kept moving, and I have held you. You tell yourself that you are the common problem in every story, that wherever you go, disappointment follows. I tell you that in every place you went, I went with you, and I gathered quiet treasures from those years that you cannot yet see. The kindness you showed a colleague when you felt like a fraud, the way you stayed late to help someone else finish their work, the small skills you learned in each role, skills that now live in you even when the job titles are gone. You remember standing in crowded rooms where people talked confidently about their plans, while you stayed closer to the edge, holding a cup, wondering why your path never seemed so clear. I remember how your heart beat hard in your chest, how you swallowed your questions and let your eyes move toward the floor or toward a nearby window, and how you searched for some quiet place where you could breathe. My child, those moments were not wasted evenings. They were nights when your hunger for real purpose was growing, even when you did not know how to name it. I saw every small ache, every glance toward the door, every wish that you could leave the noise and simply sit with someone who understood you. You fear that I am disappointed because you did not turn your early opportunities into something impressive. You picture me pointing at the calendar of your life, at missed chances and abandoned projects, as if I kept a record of how you failed to climb quickly enough. I do not stand over you with a chart of your achievements. I stay near you now, in this modest space, with my hand resting gently on your shoulder. The light from the screen may be cold, but the light of my presence around you is warm and steady. I am not counting your trophies. I am guarding your heart. You say there is no meaning because a story does not look like a straight rising line. Yet some of the deepest meaning I create in my children grows in zigzags, in pauses, in returns, in the slow discovery that identity is not the same as performance. Think of one season you still call a disaster, a time when work collapsed or a dream came apart. Remember the hollow feeling in your stomach, the way you lay on your bed and stared at the wall, or the way you sat on a long ride home with your forehead near the window, unable to imagine anything beyond the loss. Even there, I was not absent. I watched over your breathing. I drew near in the tightness of your chest. I kept you when you did not know how to keep yourself. There are people you have comforted since then, people you listened to when they spoke of their own failures. You thought you had nothing to offer, but I watched how your eyes softened, how your words were less harsh than the ones you use on yourself. That gentleness did not appear from nowhere. It grew in the soil of your own broken plans. You believe there is no future because you cannot name a single clear direction that feels safe. You have tried to choose new paths before, and the memory of their collapse sits like a stone in your stomach. You are afraid of hoping again. I do not demand that you feel brave today. I do not ask you to make grand declarations about your future. I ask you first to let me stay with you in the fear. Hear the quiet sounds around you, the subtle buzz of electricity, the soft creak of the chair when you shift your weight, the faint noise from outside your walls. These small sounds are proof that you are still here, still held in a world that I sustain. Meaning is not something you manufacture by finally choosing the perfect path. Meaning flows from my presence with you and from the love that moves through you into the lives you touch, even in hidden ways. That presence has not left you. That love has not been withdrawn. You worry that you have wasted my gifts by changing directions so many times. I tell you that I am able to gather every skill, every lesson, every hidden strength that is formed in you and weave them into what comes next. Nothing you have walked through is beyond my ability to redeem. Look again at what lies near your hand. There may be pages with ideas that never became reality, a book you stopped writing, a project you did not send, a list of habits you did not keep. To you, they are symbols of failure. To me, they are signs that your heart kept trying to respond to the sense that you were made for more than drifting. I did not despise those attempts. I saw the tired evenings when you opened a blank document after a long day, the mornings when you sat by a window with a notebook and a pen, the quiet prayers you whispered without knowing if anyone heard. I heard every word. You are not trapped in an endless loop of meaningless attempts. You are in a story where I am still speaking, still guiding, still able to open doors that match the person you are becoming, not just the roles you think you have to fill. Let your shoulders loosen a little. Let your jaw unclench. Notice the way your lungs fill and empty when you give. Yourself permission to release even a small part of the pressure you have been carrying. You do not have to prove your worth to me in this room. Your worth was settled in my heart before you ever chose a path. You ask, but what am I supposed to do now? For this moment, let the answer be simple. Stay here with me. Tell me the specific fears that arise when you think about tomorrow. Tell me about the bills, the expectations, the shame you feel when people ask what you do. I can handle your honesty. I am not threatened by your confusion. As you speak to me in the quiet of your heart, I am already at work within you. I am softening the hard verdicts you have pronounced over yourself. I am loosening the idea that one perfect decision would have fixed everything. I am planting a new understanding that you are loved as a person, not as a project. There will be days ahead when clarity comes in small pieces rather than in one bright vision. There will be tasks that seem ordinary, conversations that seem unimportant, but in them I will be present, shaping you and working through you. You do not need to see the entire road tonight. You need to know that you are not walking it alone and that every step you take with me carries meaning, even if no one else applauds it. Let this truth rest near your breathing now. Your years are not wasted to me. Your shifts and stops and starts are not proof that I have withdrawn my hand. They are places where my patience has met your weakness, where my steadiness has stood beside your fear. I am here as the night moves forward, with screen light on your face and ordinary sounds around you. I remain with you as this story continues to unfold. Even while these words settle near your breathing, another worry rises inside you. You fear that if you let yourself hope again, you will only build another fragile plan that collapses later, leaving you more tired and more ashamed. You think, if I trust again and it fails, it will prove that I really am the problem. You picture yourself sitting in this same chair months from now, surrounded by what you call fresh evidence that you chose wrong once more. The thought makes your chest tighten and your shoulders curl in. I see that tension. I see how your body tries to protect you by shrinking in on itself. I am not angry at your caution. I understand why the idea of trying again feels dangerous to you. Listen to me. I do not measure your life by how quickly you select a flawless path. I measure it by how you walk with me in the paths that unfold. The light I give you is often enough for the next few steps, like a small lamp near your feet, not a bright map that shows every turn. Remember a time when you followed a quiet nudge to do something small and kind even while you felt lost about the big questions. On one day you sent a message to someone who was struggling, On another, you stayed on a call longer than you planned. At another moment, you brought a small gift to a friend. You did not solve your whole future in those moments, yet something in you felt briefly aligned and real. In moments like that, you were closer to your true calling than you realized. Your calling is not a single impressive title written in sharp letters on a card. It is the way my love moves through your particular heart, mind, and hands into the lives you touch, one day at a time. You look at your resume, at your history of jobs and shifts, and you see a scattered list that seems to tell no coherent story. I look at the same history and see threads of patience, compassion, problem-solving, creativity, endurance. I see how you adapted when circumstances changed. I see how you kept showing up even when your heart felt heavy. Bring your attention for a moment to the simple objects around you. Feel the chair beneath you, the surface that holds your device, the wall that quietly reflects the light. These are not impressive things, yet they are the space where your real life is unfolding. I am in this room as surely as I have been in any conference hall, classroom, or workplace where you once stood. You fear that if you choose anything less than a perfectly defined purpose, you will be settling. I tell you that real purpose often looks like small, repeated faithfulness in ordinary spaces. It looks like answering one email with care. It looks like doing one task honestly. It looks like listening fully to one person when your mind wants to run away. You worry that if you accept this, you are lowering your expectations. I am not asking you to shrink your life into something dull and safe. I am inviting you to let me be the one who decides the scale and direction of your story while you focus on the next faithful step. Remember one day when you dragged yourself through work, feeling like a ghost among other people who seemed alive and focused. You watched your reflection in a dark window on the way home, hardly recognizing the person you saw. Your hands were cold, your shoulders ached. Inside, you whispered a quiet plea, unsure if I heard. I was beside you on that journey home. I felt the ache in your muscles and the sting behind your eyes. I took that whispered plea seriously, even when you later dismissed it as weakness. That kind of honesty is part of your calling with me, not pretending to be strong when you feel empty, but bringing your emptiness to me. You say, "If you have a plan, why did you let me wander like this?" I answer you gently that I have never surrendered you to chaos. There were choices you made, and choices others made, and circumstances you could not control. Yet through all of it, I have remained the one who can take broken roots and weave them into a road. Look at how your understanding has changed over the years. You are less impressed by shallow success. You are more moved by quiet courage and by people who keep going without applause. This sensitivity in you is not an accident. It is part of how I shaped your heart through what you have survived. When you think about the future, your mind jumps far ahead and tries to imagine 10 or 20 years in one rush. That rush creates dizziness and dread. For a moment, bring your focus closer. Feel the place where your body meets the chair and the floor beneath you. Notice the small sounds in this space. Let your attention return to this single slice of time that you and I share right now. In this small slice, I am not asking you to name your entire future. I am asking you one gentle question. Are you willing to let me walk the next few steps with you, as if your life is not a mistake to be hidden, but a story still being written? You do not have to answer with perfect confidence. A trembling yes is still a yes. Even a simple, honest sentence such as, "I want to trust you, but I am afraid," is a beginning I can work with. I hear the tone of your voice more than I count the strength of your words. There will be days when you still call yourself behind and broken. On those days, I will be as present as I am now. The light in your room may look different. There may be morning light at your table, evening light in another place, or the glow of a screen on a bus in a quiet corner. Wherever you are, I will be there, steady and patient. You are afraid that if you move slowly, you will miss your chance. Yet many of the works I do in my children grow slowly, like roots beneath the soil before anyone sees the leaves. The slowness does not mean nothing is happening. It means the foundations are being prepared. Think of one step that does not require you to redesign your entire life. It might be setting aside a brief time tomorrow to reflect with me on what truly gives life to your heart. It might be reaching out to one person who is on your mind. It might be bringing one anxiety into the open with someone safe. These are not tests you can fail. They are ways of walking with me. If your mind rushes to measure and evaluate even these small steps, return again to your breathing. Feel the air move in and out. Let the next breath carry this simple truth. I am not waiting to love you until you finally choose correctly. I love you now, in your uncertainty. You ask quietly, will I always feel this lost? I answer you with care that the feelings will not always be the same. There will be seasons when small pieces of clarity gather, when certain tasks fit your hands more naturally, when the weight on your chest lessens. Through all seasons, my presence remains the constant line. When you look back years from now, parts of this season will make more sense. You will see how certain skills, friendships, and even disappointments prepared you for places you could not imagine from this chair. You do not need to force that understanding today. You only need to know that I already hold that future view while I sit with you in the present. Let your heart hear me say this clearly. Your life is not a failed project on my desk. You are my beloved one, in process, in movement, in story. I am not done working with you, in you, and through you. Stay in this awareness for a moment as the room sounds continue and the light touches familiar objects. Let the idea that your story is still open sit quietly beside your fear. Both may be present at once. I am larger than both, and I am here with you. You sit in the same room where fear and the thought of an open story now sits side by side inside you. In that inner place, another old belief still tries to speak. It tells you that whatever I say about love and presence cannot undo the record you keep against yourself. You think, fine, maybe I am not completely alone, but I am still the one who ruined my own life. That sentence hangs heavy in your chest, like a weight resting just beneath your collarbones. You feel it when you shift slightly in your chair and your shoulders want to fold inward. I see that weight. I see the way your body has learned to curve around shame, almost like you are trying to disappear into the fabric of the seat. I do not scold you for this. I come closer. Hear me clearly. You are not the judge who gets the final word over your own life. You are the one I love, the one I have walked with through every room, every bus ride, every late night at this desk. Your opinion about yourself matters to me, but it is not greater than my decision about you. Bring your awareness down into your breathing again. Feel the coolness of air as it enters, and the slight warmth as it leaves. Notice the rise and fall beneath your hand if you rest it on your chest for a moment. In that quiet motion, let one thought surface. I am being held by someone wiser than my mistakes. You have treated your past like a courtroom, with evidence piled high on the table. You think of failed projects, sudden job changes, degrees you left unfinished, ideas you never brought to life, and you stand in the center of that room in your imagination and pronounce sentence on yourself. I am not standing beside you as a second accuser. I am the one who gently takes some of those heavy folders off the table and begins to read them with different eyes. I see not only what ended, but also what formed in you while you tried. The patience you learned when results were slow. The resilience you built by starting again after disappointment. The compassion you gained by feeling your own limits. You rarely count these as real outcomes because they do not appear on a document. Yet they are written into how you move through the world. They are present in the way your hand automatically reaches to steady something that might fall, and in the softness in your voice when you talk to someone who is discouraged. Look at your surroundings once more. Notice the glow of the screen on your skin, the way shadows gather in the corners of the room, the small marks on the surface where your device rests. None of this looks like a grand stage. Yet here, in this ordinary space, I am doing work in you that will outlast any title. You fear that if you accept my love while you still feel unfinished, you will become lazy or careless. You think, if I stop blaming myself, I will stop growing. That fear keeps you chained to a harsh inner voice. I tell you that true growth does not come from cruelty toward yourself. It comes from walking with me in trust. When you know you are loved, you become more willing to face the truth about your patterns because you no longer fear that any flaw will erase your value. Think of a time when you made a mistake that affected someone else. You replay the scene in your mind, the email you sent too quickly, the conversation where your words were clumsy, the task you could not complete in time. You'll remember how your stomach knotted and your face grew warm. I was present in that scene too. I saw the impact. I also saw what came after, the apology you offered or wished you could offer, the care you took next time, the tenderness that grew in you toward others who stumble. I do not ignore harm, but I do not reduce you to the worst moments of your story. You often ask me in your thoughts, who am I, really, if I strip away all these roles I failed at? You imagine an empty space where your identity should be. That image frightens you. Let me answer you gently. You are the one I chose to know by name. You are the one whose quiet tears I have counted, whose late night searches I have watched, whose tired steps I have supported. You are the one I call mine before you ever carry a role successfully. Let your eyes rest for a moment on one simple object nearby, a pen, a mug, a notebook, a folded piece of paper. That object has been used many times and carries small signs of wear. You do not throw it away just because it is not new. In your hands, it is still useful, still chosen. You are far more to me than that object is to you. You are not something I tolerate out of habit. You are someone I delight in, even when you are confused, even when you are angry with yourself. You worry that this sounds too gentle, that perhaps I am overlooking how serious your failures feel. I am not blind to them. I see them more clearly than you do, because I see all the threads around them, fear that pushed you, pressure from others, lack of guidance, wounds you carried from earlier years. My response to all of this is not to dismiss responsibility, but to offer healing and direction. I do not say, nothing matters. I say, everything matters, and I am still able to work with all of it. When you sit here and call your life ruined, you are using a word I have not spoken over you. I have spoken words like loved, in progress, held, being shaped. The labels you give yourself are not permanent ink to me. I write deeper. Pay attention again to your posture. If you notice how much you are hunching, gently allow your back to lengthen a little. Let your feet settle more firmly. This is not a performance. It is a small sign that you are allowed to occupy space in this room without apology. Your existence is not a mistake I am trying to correct. Your existence is a gift I chose to give, and I do not regret giving it. From this place of being seen, loved, and still in process, the question of what to do looks different. It is no longer, how can I fix everything I broke so that I finally deserve to exist? It becomes, how can I walk the next step with the one who already chose me? That next step may look as simple as writing down, in a few clear lines, the truths I am speaking to you now. It may look like laying one heavy expectation before me and saying, I release this timeline into your hands. It may look like asking for help from a person I place in your path. None of these actions erase your past. They do something else. They open a window in this room, letting more of my light reach the corners where you have stored your regret. You ask, if my identity is in you, why do I still feel so fragile? I answer you that it is because healing is a real process, not a switch. Scar tissue forms over time. Muscles remember old positions before they learn new ones. Your heart is learning how to stand up inside a different truth. I am patient with that process. I am not timing you with a cold clock. I stay day after day, through the repetitions, through the moments when you believe me and the moments when you slide back into the old names you gave yourself. Let this sink in as the light from the screen continues to glow and the soft sounds around you carry on. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the one I am teaching, the one I am restoring, the one I am leading forward even when the path feels faint beneath your feet. Stay with me here, in this simple room, as that thought takes root. Your breathing, your posture, your thoughts do not have to be perfect. I am already here, and I am not leaving. You are still sitting in this same room, letting the thought of being loved in process settle a little inside you. Under that thought, another layer of fear appears. You wonder whether anything beautiful can still grow from a life that feels this tangled. You tell yourself, maybe I am not completely rejected, but I do not see how my days can ever become more than survival. That sentence sits like a quiet fog at the edge of your mind. It makes the future look grey even when the room around you is lit. I see that fog. I do not mock you for it. I step toward you inside it. There is a part of you that has stopped dreaming because it is tired of disappointment. You keep your expectations low so that nothing new can hurt you. You move through tasks as if carrying a heavy bag that no one else can see. Let your awareness return for a moment to the simple feeling of your back against the chair, the way your feet touch the floor, the texture of the object nearest your hand. These quiet supports hold you up without demanding that you be impressive. In the same way, I hold you without demanding that you perform. From here, while you are being held, I begin to show you something different about your future. It will not be a sudden jump from confusion into a glowing, perfect plan. It will look more like a series of small, faithful choices made together with me. Think back to one memory where you did something kind or brave while you still felt lost. On one day you offered a listening ear to someone in obvious crisis. On another, you shared a small resource when your own situation felt tight. At another moment, you sent a quiet message that simply said, I see you. I am with you. In those moments, your circumstances did not suddenly change, yet my life was moving through you. The fog around your own story did not stop me from using your heart to comfort another. This is part of what I want you to understand. Your ability to be a blessing is not cancelled until your path looks clean. Often, it grows most honest and tender precisely in seasons when you feel unfinished. You worry that if you give anything to others while you feel this weak, you will have nothing left. I am not asking you to pour yourself out in ways that crush you. I am inviting you to notice small, sustainable ways in which my care can flow through you without destroying your own rest. Look around your life as if walking mentally through your week. There are faces you see often, people in your home, at work, in your neighborhood, online. Some of them carry hidden heaviness that you sense without having words for it. Your sensitivity to that heaviness is not an accident. It is part of my shaping in you. When you sit in this room thinking that your story has no meaning, you forget how many times you have already been a gentle presence for someone else. A short message, a listening silence, a small act of help. These moments did not erase your confusion, but they mattered deeply to me. I am not asking you to turn your life into a project of saving others. I am asking you to see that even here, even now, you are not useless. The same heart that aches over your own sense of failure is a heart that I can teach to carry hope, one conversation at a time. Bring your focus back to this present moment. Hear the faint hum of electricity, the small noises outside the building, the creak that comes when you shift your weight. In these ordinary sounds, realize that your story is still moving. Time is not frozen around your regret. You ask, what if I try to follow you and still choose wrong again? I answer that you may make imperfect choices, but you will not walk them alone. I do not only guide people whose paths look smooth and certain. I guide people exactly like you, in rooms exactly like this, with histories that feel complicated. Consider one small area where you sense me nudging you. It may be a habit that is draining you, a conversation you have been avoiding, a creative seed you keep burying, or a practical step you have delayed. I am able to meet you there. I will not overwhelm you with 10 instructions at once. I may highlight one thing and whisper to your heart, let us look at this together. When that happens, you will not need to become a different person overnight. You will need to be honest, to stay with me in the discomfort, and to take one step that aligns with what I show you. You have tried to change many things before by sheer force. You set strict rules for yourself, drew tight lines on calendars, made promises you could not keep. When you broke them, you added more evidence to your inner record against yourself. This time, I am inviting you into another way. Instead of promising perfection, begin with simple agreement. When I show you something that harms you or others, agree with me that it is not good. When I show you a small act of goodness to step into, agree with me that it is worth trying. Then take that step with me, not alone. You may not feel a surge of power as you do this. Often, the change will feel quiet, almost ordinary. Yet over time, such quiet agreements shape a different path. You also ask, can anything in my past ever become a gift and not only a wound? I answer you carefully. There are experiences that I simply want to heal and comfort, not reuse. There are other experiences whose pain can become a doorway of understanding for you, so that when you sit with someone else in a dark place, you do not speak from theory. Remember a night when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling or at the faint outline of furniture, feeling that your life had gone off the rails. You felt alone. You felt foolish. You felt that everyone else was moving forward without you. On some later day, you listened to another person describe their own sleepless night. As they spoke, something in you recognized the tone in their voice. You did not need them to be impressive. You understood. That understanding was born in your own long nights. I did not waste those nights. I sat beside you in them. I watched your breathing and guarded your mind when thoughts grew heavy. Later, I wove strands of that experience into the gentleness you now carry toward others. Let your eyes soften as you look at the objects near you. Imagine, for a moment, one future day when you will sit in another room, perhaps with different light, perhaps at a different table, listening to someone who feels like their life is only mistakes. You will remember this season. You will speak not as someone who never struggled, but as someone who met me in the struggle. You may not believe that scenario yet. That is all right. You do not have to force yourself to feel convinced. You only need to allow the possibility that I can do more with your story than you can currently imagine. Feel again the movement of your lungs. With each breath, let a short sentence move through your mind. My story with you is not finished. This is not a slogan. It is a simple description of reality. I am still here. You are still here. That means there are still pages being written. From where you sit now, you cannot see every line ahead. You do not need to. You need to know that I am a careful writer. I do not throw away characters I love because their journeys are messy. I stay with them. I stay with you. Stay in this awareness as the light in the room continues to hold your outline and the familiar sounds trace the borders of your world. Let the idea of small, shared steps with me begin to feel less like a demand and more like an invitation. You are not being pushed onto a stage. You are being walked hand in hand into the next part of a story that I have not abandoned. You are still here in this same room, holding the awareness that your story with me is not finished. Inside that awareness, a quieter question begins to form. You wonder whether there has ever been a season when you were not simply failing, but quietly growing without knowing it. Your mind is used to scanning for losses. It moves quickly to the moments when things broke, when doors closed, when you walked away feeling foolish. Those scenes appear in sharp color. The rest of your life feels faded. I invite you to notice what your memory usually passes by. There were mornings when you got up even though you wanted to stay in bed. There were days when you completed small tasks that nobody praised. There were times you chose honesty when hiding would have been easier. You rarely count these as anything important. Yet every time you moved in that direction, I was close. I watched you choose truth over image, care over indifference, endurance over giving up. These choices were not wasted, even when the outer results looked small. Bring your attention again to your breathing and to the way your body rests where you are. Feel the support beneath you. Notice how the fabric against your skin, the temperature of the room, and the sounds in the background quietly hold the moment in place. This is where you are learning to live differently with me. Not in an impressive scene, but here, in the middle of ordinary sensations. Think of one relationship that has been shaped by the years you call wasted. Perhaps you became more patient with a family member after realizing how often you needed patience yourself. Perhaps you grew more gentle with someone who struggles to decide because you know what it is like to feel stuck. Perhaps you listen more deeply because you remember how it hurts to be dismissed. Those changes in you did not arrive from a textbook. They grew from walking through days that felt confusing and hard. I did not send those confusions as punishment. I have been at work within them, drawing out a tenderness that reflects my heart. You often say that your life has no meaning because you cannot see a clear line of success. I see another line, the slow forming of your character. I watch the way your hands move when you help, the way your voice softens when someone is in pain, the way you keep reaching out even when you feel clumsy. Let your eyes move, if you can, to one mark or detail in this room that you have overlooked. A scratch on the surface, a line of light on a wall, a small object pushed a little out of place. That mark is part of the story of this space, even if you rarely notice it. In a similar way, the ways you have grown are part of your story, even though your attention usually lands elsewhere. You ask me, if you were with me all along, why did I not feel more guided? I answer gently that there were moments when you sensed a nudge, a restlessness, a quiet discomfort when you stayed too long in what drained you. There were moments when the thought of change appeared like a small light at the edge of your awareness. Sometimes you followed that light, sometimes you did not. I saw both. I did not abandon you in either case. Even when detours became places where you learned truths you could not have learned in small, strict path. I did not romanticize every pain. There are choices you regret, words you wish you could take back, years that feel lost. I see them as they are. At the same time, I see that I remain able to weave them into something that bears fruit. Consider one season that you describe as a complete failure. The place, the people, the work may come quickly to mind. As you remember it, notice not only what ended badly, but also one quality in you that grew stronger there. Courage to speak up, awareness of your limits, clarity about what matters, grief that taught you to care. You did not invent those qualities alone. I was present, pressing gently on the soil of your life, making room for roots to reach deeper. You fear that calling this growth good will make light of the pain. It will not. It simply honors the fact that I refuse to let your suffering be empty. I do not celebrate what hurt you, but I do celebrate the tenderness, wisdom, and resilience that have emerged in you over time. Let your shoulders soften a little as you breathe. If there is any small part of you that feels grateful for one thing you have become through these difficult years, allow that gratitude to rise without arguing against it. It might be gratitude for understanding others more deeply. It might be gratitude for being more real and less impressed by shallow applause. Gratitude does not erase your questions. It adds another color to the picture, so that your life is not painted only in gray. You sometimes imagine that a meaningful life must look public and visible. A platform, a clear title, a stable upward path that others can easily respect. I see meaning in smaller places, in the way you choose kindness when no one is watching, in the way you answer a message from someone who feels alone, in the way you keep learning even when no certificate is waiting at the end. I do not forbid public callings. I simply remind you that my delight in you does not begin when you step into one, and it does not end if you step out. Your deepest identity is not successful or unsuccessful. It is known and loved. From this identity, new kinds of courage can grow. Not the loud courage that shouts from a stage, but the steady courage that gets up again tomorrow, that returns to me with honest questions, that tries one more small step even after many setbacks. Think of tomorrow in the simplest way possible. One next morning light, one set of basic tasks, one or two people you might encounter. Imagine approaching that day not as someone on trial, but as someone walking with me inside it. You might still feel tired when you wake. You might still feel unsure about the larger direction of your life. Yet you can carry one quiet intention. In this day, I want to walk with you in how I answer, how I listen, how I choose. That intention is not a contract you will be punished for breaking. It is a doorway you and I can walk through together. You ask again in a softer voice now. Can you really make something beautiful from this mess? I answer you with care that beauty, in my way of seeing, is not the absence of scars. It is the presence of love, truth, and courage in a life that bears scars. There will come a time when you look back and see that some of the places you called ruins became gardens of compassion in you. You will notice that certain conversations, certain acts of patience, certain quiet decisions were only possible because of what you walked through. I do not rush you toward that perspective. I know your heart needs time. For now, it is enough that you begin to suspect that I have been more faithful than your memory suggests. Feel again the line of your spine, the weight of your hands, the steady rhythm of your breath. Here, in this very ordinary moment, I bless the parts of you that kept going when you felt like quitting. I acknowledge the tears that never had an audience. I honor the good you tried to do even when it seemed to disappear into nothing. You are not invisible to me. You never have been. Let that truth sit alongside your questions and your weariness. You do not need to choose one and deny the other. I am large enough to hold both your gratitude and your grief, your hope and your doubt. As you stay here a little longer, notice whether any small desire stirs under the surface. A desire to thank me for something specific. A desire to ask for help in one area. A desire to see your life with clearer eyes. Whatever arises, bring it to me in simple words. I am listening. You are still in the middle chapters of your story. The pen has not left my hand. I continue to write with patience, with wisdom, and with love. You sit here with the thought that our story is not finished, and something in you starts to soften. The harsh voice that used to shout now sounds more like a distant echo. You remember how often you have called your life a series of mistakes. The words still feel familiar on your tongue, like a phrase you have practiced for years. Yet in this moment, as the light from the screen rests on your face and the room holds its quiet sounds, another sentence begins to form. I am near while that new sentence takes shape. I do not force it. I stay close while you consider what could possibly be truer than I ruined everything. Let your shoulders notice the support beneath them. Feel the way your back rests, the way your feet meet the floor, the subtle rhythm of your breath. In this ordinary posture, I speak again to you. You are not a list of failures. You are a person I love, walking through days that have been confusing and hard, yet never lived outside my sight. You say, but the facts of my past do not change. That is true. The events themselves remain what they were. Yet the meaning you give them can be touched by me. I do not rewrite history, but I do walk back through it with you, taking your hand as we move from room to room. Think of one early moment when you decided that you were not good enough. Perhaps it was a classroom, a workplace, or a conversation where someone's words cut deeply. You left that place carrying a sentence inside you, perhaps for years. I was there, even then. I saw the way your chest tightened, the way your eyes tried not to show hurt, the way your hands fumbled with whatever you were holding. I did not agree with the verdict spoken over you. I stayed, waiting for another day like this one, when you would be ready to hear my different word. Today, in this quiet room with its familiar light and sounds, I speak that word again. Beloved, held, still being formed. Your life has taken turns you did not plan. Some choices were unwise. Some circumstances were unfair. Some losses left you breathless. I will not pretend otherwise. At the same time, I have never stepped away from you to watch from a distance. I have remained inside each turn, ready to meet you when you turn toward me. You fear that believing this will make you careless. It will not. When love is real, it does not make the heart lazy. It makes the heart brave enough to be honest, to make amends, to try again. Bring your attention to a small detail in front of you, the edge of the screen, the curve of a mug, the pattern on a page. These things are simple, but they mark real, present life. In the same way, I mark your days, one by one, not as wasted space, but as ground where we can still walk together. You ask quietly, what do I do with the fear that I am too late? I answer that you can bring it to me exactly as it is. Do not hide it behind strong words. Let yourself say, even now in a whisper, I am afraid I am too late. I hear you. Then listen as I reply. In my way of seeing, you arrive today with me at this moment on time. You are not standing outside the door of your life looking in. You are inside it, breathing, thinking, listening. I am with you here. There are paths that are no longer open. There are also paths you could not see before because your eyes were fixed only on what you lost. As you walk with me, I will help you notice where attention, care, and courage are needed next. I will not reveal everything at once. Often, I will simply light the next step. One conversation, one habit to release, one healthy boundary to draw, one small act of creativity, one decision to rest instead of punish yourself. Each time you respond with me, the story bends a little further away from self-accusation and toward trust. You will not respond perfectly. There will be days when you forget what you tasted here and slip back into old sentences. When that happens, do not build a new case against yourself. Return. Bring those sentences to me again. I will meet you, not with contempt, but with the same steady presence. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. Notice how, even when you are not thinking about it, breath continues. My care is like that, constant, quiet, faithful. You do not have to earn each next breath. You receive it. In the same way, you do not have to earn my I have chosen it. I stay. Let this truth begin to rewrite a little of the way you talk to yourself. When your mind begins to say, my life is only a trail of mistakes, allow another line to stand beside it. I am walking with someone who does not give up on me. You do not have to shout this. You can hold it like a small candle in a dim room. As you hold that candle, remember some of the images we have passed through together. The long nights when you lay awake. The days when you kept going with no applause. The quiet moments of kindness you offered even when your own heart felt empty. These are not proof that you were fine. They are signs that, even in confusion, my life was already touching yours. I look at you now, sitting where you are, lit by this familiar glow. To me, this is not a scene of failure. It is a scene of meeting. It is one of many moments when I bend close and say, I am here. I am not finished with you. You may still feel fragile. That does not disqualify you. Clay is shaped while it is soft, not after it is hardened into something unchangeable. Your softness, your questions, your tears are not obstacles to me. They are places where my hands can work. So as you think about the days ahead, do not picture a grand performance where you must suddenly excel. Picture instead a steady walk through morning light on a floor. a desk where you return to work, a conversation at a doorway, and a quiet evening in a small room. And in each of those scenes, my presence with you. I bless the path beneath your feet, even when you cannot see far along it. I bless your coming in and your going out, your sitting and your rising, your work and your rest. Let peace settle, even gently, over your chest as you breathe. You do not have to understand everything at once. You do not have to repair your whole history in this hour. You are allowed to be in process while being fully loved. Remember this as you move from this room into whatever waits for you next. Your life is not a discarded project. Your life is a story I am still writing with care. And as the light from the screen fades or shifts, as the sounds around you change, one thing remains steady. I stay with you. I walk beside you. I call you mine. In this last quiet stretch, stay just as you are. Notice the glow on your face, the weight of your body on the chair, the familiar shapes around you. Here, in this simple room, I bless you. I bless the years you call wasted, not by naming the harm good, but by declaring that they are no longer the only lens through which you will see yourself. I stand with you inside that history and I speak a new word over you. Beloved, I bless your mind, which has practiced the sentence. My life is a series of mistakes. Let that sentence begin to loosen its hold. When it rises again, let it meet another truth. I am held by one who does not give up on me. You do not have to fight this battle alone inside your thoughts. I fight for you. I bless your body, which has carried tension, exhaustion, and shame. As you notice your shoulders, your chest, your hands, receive this. You are not an embarrassment to me. You are my child, still in my hands. I bless your small tomorrow, the light that will enter your room, the ordinary tasks, the people whose names come to mind. You do not walk into that day on trial. You walk into it with me. I bless the hidden places, the tears no one saw, the efforts no one thanked, the questions you were afraid to voice. Nothing in you is too small or too tangled for my attention. I have seen every thread. I bless your future with my presence, not with a promise that everything will become easy, but with the certainty that you will not have to move through any scene without me beside you. As the sounds around you continue and the light shifts, hear this as my final word in this message. You are not your record of successes and failures. You are mine. Let your breath rise and fall once more in that truth. When this moment ends and you stand up, I do not stay behind in the room. I go with you. I stay.